and welcome to Savvy Seniors. I'm Mary Dilley.
And I'm Sarah Feary, and today we're joined by Margot McWhirter, registered occupational therapist and aging in place specialist with 28 years experience. Welcome, Margot.
Thank you. So Margot, as I'm sitting here actually aging in place as we speak, talk to me.
Well, Mary, first we'll begin though, because I think it's really important to sort of have an understanding of what the difference is in between occupational therapy and physiotherapy.
Terrific question. Often the two do get confused. We're both regulated healthcare professionals trained at a university level to work with people of all ages who are living with acute or chronic health issues. But one sort of funny cartoon that I like that distinguishes the difference for people is it says that a physiotherapist is going to get you up and moving again, but are you going to walk down the halls naked? We didn't think so. Welcome to occupational therapy. So occupational therapists really focus on all of the activities of daily living that help you live life within the home, the work, school, or leisure aspects of your life.
With your clothes on.
With clothes on, preferably.
Okay, thank God. So from that, I take it that as you're aging, it's really important to think about how you're going to be living and where you're going to be living to accommodate the changes in our bodies as we get older.
Absolutely. Very important to think about planning ahead to age in place. And when we talk about aging in place, it's just to define that for some people, it's generally understood to mean living in the home of your choice and bringing support services to you as your abilities and needs change over time. So that choice may be the home that you've lived in throughout your adulthood. You may have downsized to a smaller home, a condo, or even live in retirement settings, but really that idea of having choice and control and then bringing support services and making modifications to meet your needs is all about that empowerment piece.
Mm-hmm. And the needs are always changing.
Yeah, absolutely. And so in terms of answering your questions, Mary, about why it is important to think about planning ahead, we plan so much of our lives. Mm-hmm. We plan for dream vacations, we plan for jobs and promotions, we plan for education and often financial security in retirement. But one thing that we often don't plan enough of, I would argue, in advance for is that aging journey. And there's so many aspects to think about, certainly considering our health, our housing, social connections, financial needs, and access to services. And all of those things don't just happen. You have to prepare ahead. And for sure, the worst time to try and get a handle on all of those things is if you are facing like a catastrophic injury or illness, and you're basically in the midst of a crisis.
Yeah, because above all else, health is everything. If you don't have your health, you don't have anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people do age into poorer health or may experience declining health as they age. But I always say aging isn't a disease and it's not a disability. So just as we can, live and recover from a broken limb, we may even live with something like arthritis or diabetes, we absolutely can and should embrace the aging process and basically continue to be empowered and feel confident about how we are aging, despite some of the losses and declines potentially in our abilities.
And I feel like there are so many things that we would have to think about too as we age. Mm-hmm. So Margot, how does your work and what you do as an occupational therapist sort of help somebody set themselves up to age in place successfully?
Yeah, a great question. And I would say because occupational therapists focus on function, we really do kind of get into the weeds with individuals, particularly those who may be experiencing a progressive declining disease, whether it's physical or cognitive, as well as people who are just maybe experiencing some of the natural age-related changes, could be loss of mobility, loss of flexibility, just even sort of those aches and pains of aging. So we get to know the individual. We really do a deep dive and assess and evaluate their abilities and limitations. We take measurements such as their reach ranges, their grip strength. We look at how they are functioning personally. We also look look holistically in terms of their emotional and cognitive abilities. And then we look at the activities that they want and need to do on a daily basis and the space in which they're doing them. And then providing customized, individualized recommendations, both for the individual, but also for other people in the space. So a lot of what I do does focus on home modifications and perhaps recommending assistive devices or adaptive equipment. And I always do that focusing on the individual, and then if the person does need care support in the home, also thinking about the caregivers and considering their need and importance for safety.
Wow, Mary, there is a lot to consider. I hope you're taking notes.
She's nasty. She is half my age, but I love her anyway.
And you mentioned home modifications. What are examples of home modifications, or can you expand on that further?
Yeah, so it can start with the basic and very simple, inexpensive or no cost, such as removing clutter and excess furniture that could be a tripping hazard, could be increasing lighting, especially on stairs, all the way through to installing residential elevators or stair lifts, or completely renovating a bathroom to make it accessible for people who might need a wheeled device to get in and out of the shower.
Oh, wow. And is there any funding available for any of this? I imagine putting an elevator in one's house would probably be quite expensive.
Yeah, so there is some funding, but I will say that it is rather limited. Depending on people's eligibility, there are tax credits provincially as well as federally that can fund some of the renovations. And then some people may be eligible either through Veterans Affairs Canada, maybe through the Ontario March of Dimes, or a disease-specific funding organization.
Oh, wow. And is that something that you could help them with?
Absolutely. I mean, a part of my role is to provide sort of trusted advice and guidance and assist people to navigate that part of the journey as well.
Oh, wow.
I would like to see new home builders making the front hall closets a little bit bigger so that eventually if you need to put an elevator in, I'd like to see some forward thinking.
That would be
this.
great.
Yeah, that would be. This has been great. Thank you very much. And I have many more questions for you after the show to talk about. Do you have any more questions for Margot?
Just how did you start into occupational therapy? I know you've been doing it for 28 years now. What sort of prompted you to take this path?
I would say the easiest and quickest answer is when I read a description of all of the healthcare professionals, the description for occupational therapy is to empower and enable independence, and I said, that's me.
That's excellent, and I love to hear that story. So we want